Hey everybody, it's Carrie Clark with SpeechAndLanguageKids.com and the Speech Therapy Solution. Today I am answering a question about therapy ideas for a nonverbal toddler with autism. So the question was that somebody was looking for intervention options for a 20-month-old nonverbal girl with ASD. Her mother wants weekly therapy sessions, and she said she has introduced the hand and language development series or strategies. She started PECs, and she's trying to teach motor imitation skills. She wants to know if there's any other strategies that she should be using. So I will start by saying that's a really good start, and that's pretty much what I'm going to tell you. But I will give you kind of a little bit more in depth so that you can see what I'm talking about here. So components of intervention that I would be considering for this kiddo. The first thing would be parent training, and this is probably what you're doing with the hand and language stuff, but I wanted to go ahead and go over that again. So this would be to teach good language modeling techniques to the parents. So some of the top ones that I usually teach are using shorter utterances. So that would be if the child is not speaking yet, speaking in mostly one-word utterances and some two-word utterances. So making it right at or slightly above the level that the child is at or striving for. So shorter utterances. I would also encourage the families to use sign language at home if they can. Sign language is a really good way to provide visual input for children of something that is typically just auditory. So our kiddos with autism, they are typically visual learners. So if you compare a visual signal with a verbal or auditory signal, they're going to get more information from that and hopefully have a better chance of retaining it. So using sign language when they're talking to their child, not necessarily expecting the child to use it back yet, but just modeling that. That's a really good one. And if you need some sign language, flashcards, pictures, I have some of those in my store. If you go up to the top of the website, you can go to free speech therapy materials or something like that up at the top. And you can go in and download my sign language cards, and they are the first, it's somewhere between 50 and 60 words that kids typically use when they're learning new words. And so it's pretty much your basic words, your early words. There's sign language for all of those. So you can print those off and share those with those families. Okay, let's see. The next one would be self-talk, which would be when the parent is talking about what they are doing out loud in front of the child. And again, that you want them to be using their shorter utterances when they do this and using sign language if they can. So if the parent is washing dishes, she would say, washing dishes, plate, wash plate. So you would be using 1 to 2 word utterances to do self-talk, talking about what you're doing. The other one would be parallel talk, and this would be when the parent talks about what the child is doing. So again, using 1 to 2 word utterances and sign language if you can. So that would be talking about what the child is doing. And then finally, we talk about using expansions, although with a child who is nonverbal, expansion isn't quite the best word for it. So I like to call this labeling a child's body language, actions, or vocalizations using a single word. So, for example, if the child is crying, you say sad. You're sad. Sad. So you're labeling how the child is feeling, or if the child is doing something, you can label that. It's basically like, okay, if this child could talk, what would he be telling you right now based on what he's doing or what noises he's making, what his body language looks like. You're labeling that for the child with a single word. Another way to do this is if the child says something, even though it's not real words yet, if they just make noises, you turn that into something that sounds similar. So if the child says, rah, you say, yeah. Lions say, roar, roar, and you pretend like the child said a real word or a sound or something that you can build on. So you're basically taking what the child is doing and turning it into language. Okay, so those are the parent training tips. That would be step 1. The second thing that I would do in therapy would be to go ahead and introduce some AAC. If the child is not speaking yet, you want to make sure that that child has some sort of bridge that will lead them to spoken communication. So AAC, or augmentative alternative communication, is a really good place to start there. You can try different methods like sign language, voice output devices, picture systems. You said you're using PECs, which is a really good one. Just basically see what's going to help that child communicate her biggest wants and needs. You want to start with the things that she's most motivated to communicate about. So that would usually be acquiring something that the child really wants is usually a good place to start. So requests. But just trying to introduce some AAC and see what the child responds to and what she doesn't. The third thing I would do in therapy would be to try to get the child to imitate speech sounds, and I would do this by reinforcing with highly preferred objects. Excuse me. If the child's not going to imitate speech sounds, which chances are they're not if they're a nonverbal toddler, then you can try having them imitate non-speech sounds like sound effects, like car sound effects and animal sound effects. If that doesn't work, you can have them try imitating oral motor movements, like just moving the mouth in different ways. And then if that doesn't work, you can move down to imitating whole body movements like clapping hands or stomping feet or anything like that. So those are all, that's kind of the progression of imitation. You really want them to be imitating speech sounds and words, but if they're not there, then you move down the progression to wherever you can get them to imitate. And I think we have some videos on that. If you need more information on that, leave a comment and I'll look and see what I can find for you in the library. Okay, and then the fourth one, which is good because I think my voice is going, is going to be to encourage joint attention. So you're going to spend parts of your session just trying to get the child to engage with you. And I have a whole article on encouraging joint attention, so you can click on that. If you just scroll down below the video, you can click on that link there, and it will take you to the article on joint attention. So that's what I would do, but it sounds like you already have most of that covered. If you want specific strategies for any piece of that, so if you're saying, man, we're working on PECs and it's not going well, what can we do? I can help you with that too, so just leave that in the comments section. And this goes for any of you, even if you weren't the one that asked this question. If you have specifics, just leave those in the comments and then I'll add those to the question queue, and I will get to those when they come up in the rotation again. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great day.